President Trump's illegal immigration crackdown taking shape here at home and abroad. Right now, ICE agents are continuing their apprehension of criminal illegal aliens. Nearly 1,000 were taken into custody on Sunday when ICE officials were in Chicago. Now, a Homeland Security official is telling Fox News that New York City is, quote, the next target. The president also overcame the first major pushback against his mass deportation policy from Colombia, all in the first week of his new administration. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno here with my co-hosts, Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany. And also joining us today, Lisa Booth, Fox News contributor, and Jason Chaffetz, Fox News contributor and former Utah congressman. Now, the president's mass deportation policy appeared to spark a trade war with Colombia yesterday, only for them to quickly cave after initially rejecting 2 flights of illegal immigrants. President Trump's threats included a travel ban, immediate visa revocations, and ordering 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. from Colombia. Now, that would jump to 50% after 1 week if they did not comply. So they did. Colombian officials put out this statement, quote, Colombia, under the direction of President Gustavo Petro, has the presidential plane ready to facilitate the return of the compatriots who were to arrive in the country today in the morning on deportation flights. Meanwhile, the first of 1,500 U.S. Marines and U.S. Army personnel began arriving at our southern border. Their mission? Make good on President Trump's campaign promise to bring back his effective Remain in Mexico policy. The Coast Guard getting involved, too, intercepting a boat carrying illegal migrants that was sinking in U.S. waters. The Coast Guard's alien expulsion flight operations span between California and Texas, and it's all part of the president's illegal immigration crackdown that border czar Tom Homan says is only getting started.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes, but you're going to see the numbers steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture.
The estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table. Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
And Vice President J.D. Vance also defended the president's executive order revoking birthright citizenship.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by... This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. No country says that temporary visitors, their children, will be given complete access to the benefits and blessings of American citizenship. America should actually look out for the interests of our citizens first. And that means, again, if you're here permanently and lawfully, your kid becomes an American citizen. If you're not here permanently, if you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and don't plan to be, why would...
So here we go. President Trump got in a trade war with Colombia, and immediately the Colombian government caved. Let's talk about it on Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb. So it's interesting, when in my military career, one of the most difficult things I ever had to do was to reroute traffic over international airspace. I was in Kuwait City in Kuwait in Camp Doha. I was in Camp Arif Jan in Kuwait, and I got an immediate call from the Deputy Commanding General for Operations to reroute his aircraft from Egypt and clear airspace over Saudi Arabia so that he could return to Kuwait, because ISIS was making major gains towards the United States Embassy in Baghdad, Iraq. And so we got this call, hey, look, you need to clear the airspace and reroute that. And that's one of those things that, as an infantry officer and a foreign area officer, you're not necessarily trained to do, but you figure it out. And that's what I did. So the interesting thing is these Colombian illegal immigrants were on C-17 Globemasters going to Colombia from the United States. They were military aircraft. And so the amount of coordination that was going on in between the United States military, the Colombian military, the civilian FAA, the counterpart for Colombia, it all had to be synchronized, and everything was good to go. The aircraft were en route, and just as they were about to land in Colombian airspace, the president of Colombia said, no, these aircraft cannot land. And so then goes the deconfliction, where you have to have those aircraft returning back to their point of origin in the United States. And now, obviously, it made the current administration that's only been in office now for 6 days have egg on their face, because it made everybody look bad, because there was all of this work that had been done behind the scenes in order to get these aircraft into Colombia. And so for them to get turned around at the last second, is obviously disappointing. It's embarrassing. And Donald Trump immediately took to his Truth Social to slam the president of Colombia and to immediately say, look, these are what's going to happen. You're going to get the tariffs. You're going to get ban on visas for visiting personnel. You're going to get visas canceled for people that are already in the United States. It is going to be a bad day for you. Now, here's the thing. AOC jumped on this bandwagon over the weekend and tweeted out, like, this is great. Just to let you know, these are not tariffs on the countries. These are going to be passed on directly to the consumer. So Donald Trump's stunt is making you pay more for coffee. But here's the thing, AOC. There are other countries other than Colombia that produce coffee. In fact, most countries produce more coffee than Colombia does. Thailand does, Vietnam does, Peru does. So anyway, there are other countries where you could get coffee. Now, what happens is Colombia would lose market share, and that would be immediately filled back up with all of the other countries that produce coffee. And that's the damaging thing that Colombia realized is as that market share went away, it would not come back. And so that's why it was so quick to turn around and to change their tune. And the president of Colombia immediately said, hey, you know what? I can use my presidential plane to fly to the United States, pick these guys up, and then bring it back to my country. Sorry, I was just kidding about that. And, I'll pay for all the gas and my flight hours on my aircraft. And so, that is just a complete backpedal from what Colombia was trying to do and be the big guy on the block, and they just realized that they're not. The United States is the big kid on the block. And so this is just an example of what is going on, and having America first, America power, having Donald Trump back in the office, countries are starting to respect us again. It took not but 2 hours for that Colombian president to just backpedal very quickly and immediately offer up all of his money to repatriate the people that are in our country illegally. It's just a continuation of the promises that Donald Trump kept. I mean, the two biggest questions on people's mind was the economy, and it was immigration, specifically illegal immigration. And Donald Trump has immediately sent active duty Army and Marines to the border. You saw the video. And he's making good on the promises that he's going to defend us. Now, here's the thing. When you talk about that we are a nation of immigrants, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When the nation was founded by settlers and then after a country through immigration, people stopped in at Ellis Island and they signed in. They just didn't go to a random port and down in Florida and from Europe and just go through the country. No, they went to New York. They sailed by the Statue of Liberty. They went to Ellis Island and they signed in on the dotted line. Who are you? Who are the family members that you're bringing? And they signed in. You can go and at the museum and look at all the record books of everybody that signed in. So they didn't sneak in. And that's the huge problem that we're seeing is we do have ports of entry where you can come in and sign in and declare asylum and things like that. It's the people that deliberately are evading the ports of entry and crossing through the desert or through tunnels and things like that. And then when they just so happen to get caught, they claim asylum, which triggers all this nonsense for immigration judges and things like that. But still, it's so important to realize that there is a legal pathway to come into the country. And the problem is people are just not using it. And now there are nations like Colombia and other South American nations that are going to step up, and even Colombia said the Darien Gap between Colombia and Panama, which is a notorious dangerous area for illegal immigrants to be moving through as they make their way up to the United States. They're going to go and put more resources there and stop that pathway. One of the things that's super important about that is there are cartels that are charging all kinds of money. There's people that are being kidnapped going through the cartel land. There are Chinese camps that are there that are not necessarily run by the Chinese government, but they do not let Westerners in and around that area to film, reporters and such, because they don't want people seeing what they're doing. But they're full up, straight up Chinese cities as people from China start migrating their way and infiltrate across the border as well. So this is hugely important that South America is on notice, and Donald Trump put them that way. So thanks so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.